Hi, everybody. You are listening to Judging Meghan with your host, Meghan Judge. I am just going to be positive today because I'm just going to pretend like this is a great day and there's nothing wrong in the world and we're just happy. So that's the positive attitude that I'm going to have. If you're struggling with your mental health and the current climate of the world is maybe getting you down a little bit, please know there's always help. There's always someone to talk to. If you're struggling financially, I like to tell my listeners that a lot of the colleges, like people are getting their degrees, they need to do their service hours of counseling. You can always go that route. Therapy saved my life. I say it all the time. I'm in therapy right now again. I'm trying to figure out how to parent a teen daughter, which I maybe might change my podcast name to Judging Meghan. Help me. I'm being tortured and get me out of here, because nobody tells you this. When you are a mom, they don't tell you like what's about to happen when the hormones come in. So we're dealing with that. I talk a lot about that. We've all been put here for a reason, and we all deserve acceptance.
Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge.
I'm a trauma survivor from a really young age, and I have been diagnosed with complex PTSD in the past few years. I've been surrounded by death and abuse much of my life. I've been dragged through the mud and have been to the point of not wanting to go on anymore. Through my interviews with other survivors, I've learned that there is a way out. From recovering to surviving and thriving, we all have the strength to come out the other side.
You are listening to Judging Meghan.
I am so excited today to introduce you to Dr. Dana Cohen. Her new book is called, I'm going to hold it up for my YouTube people. It's called Fuel Up. I hope that's in the screen right there. This is harness the power of your blender and cheat your way to good health. Hello. I need this. I need it immediately because I'm really having some issues with getting all of my vitamins in, and especially my kids need it. So I can't wait to read it and maybe learn some great ideas. Dr. Cohen is an integrative functional medical doctor. She's been in practice for 27 years. She's also the author of Quench. It has sold over 50,000 copies, and it's based on the science of hydration. So I'm going to tell you, after that big mouthful, I have the worst, like I cannot get enough water in me. I am sure there's a lot of people that struggle with this besides me. So do you want to just start there and talk about the very beginning stages of how you hydrate? I know that I'm coming in hot, but I hate drinking water. I hate it.
Perfect. Thank you. Yes. For some reason, a lot of people do. The good news is that that book is not about drinking more and more water. It's really about eating your water. I think, yes, we need to drink some water, but the 8 glasses a day is out the window, and I'm just going to give you well, first of all, let me just say hydration. The single most important thing you can do to treat and prevent chronic disease is always, always, always start with hydration. It's life-changing. It will make just think about it. Hydration, we can't detoxify if we're not hydrating. We only detoxify through peeing, pooping, and sweating. Mm-hmm. All of them require hydration. Hydration is how our cells are in homeostasis with our body, so they're in balance. It really is the one thing in my practice I am a stickler on is hydration, meaning I'll put somebody on a nutrition plan and I'm like, give me 80-20, 80%, and I'm happy. I'm really happy. With hydration, day in and day out, you need to stay on top of it. Super important. So I'm going to give you 3 things to do right now that you can make a difference. Number 1, front load your water. So I'm actually in my bedroom. I wish I could show you my nightstand. I have a beautiful canister with the glass that sits on top. Mm-hmm. I fill it up every night. I put a little squeeze of lemon in there, a little pinch of real salt for electrolytes. Real salt has all the full spectrum of minerals in it, so it's more hydrating than without it. And first thing, before my feet even hit the ground, that gets sucked down. So make that a habit, like make it a rule, easy. Second rule is drink a glass of water before every meal. So before you eat, drink a glass of water, suck it down. If you want to put some flavoring in there, like some mushed up berries or strawberries or, mint, great. Lemon, do that. Cucumbers, whatever it takes to get you to enjoy your water. So a big glass of water before every meal. It's just a habit, right? The other thing is there is some research that show that people who do that tend to, if you're trying to lose weight or dieting, you will lose more weight by drinking before every meal. You tend to get a little filled up, I think, beforehand. So, and then the third thing, and this is where Fuel Up, the newer book, comes in, is drink a green smoothie a day. So a green smoothie are blended greens, whatever greens you choose, with whatever else, with water. Or if you want to make it a meal, you could put, other things in it, like, a milk or nut milk or something like that, or yogurt. Then we're starting to create a meal. But if you want to just do a green smoothie, which are blended greens with water, and then whatever else you want to put in there for apple. My go-to, my very basic one is apple, lemon, ginger, greens, and water. Really simple. Maybe plus or minus berries if you like that. And then from there you can talk, we'll get into protein and that kind of thing and as a meal replacement. But that, and this is not scientific, there's no science that what I'm about to say, but that green smoothie is probably equivalent to drinking 3 times the amount of plain water from a cellular standpoint, from a hydration standpoint, because you're getting the fiber of the greens, you're getting all those minerals and vitamins that holds it into your cells longer. So it acts like a sponge, and you're just holding on to it better rather than drinking more and more water where you're peeing it out.
Okay. So I'm sorry. The very first question I had was like, hi, nice to meet you. Tell me about water. That's not all you stand for in life, but I mean, I'm being selfish. I always am when I ask questions. I really want to know for myself. You see me right here. I'm drinking sparkling water.
Yeah,
Is that,
great.
Does that,
It counts. It absolutely counts.
Okay.
Yes,
I've heard it sure doesn't.
Does. And no, that's not true. And even better is if it's mineralized sparkling water. So like Pellegrino or something like that. If you're drinking just seltzer, like where they just put CO2 in it, it still counts as hydration. It absolutely does. Yeah, I will say there is some people, not everybody, who drink an exorbitant amount of seltzer. And the phosphates can maybe have an issue with your kidneys. And I'm talking like so much seltzer. But for the most part, I mean, other than maybe a little gassy, some people, that's my favorite drink. My favorite drink is Pellegrino.
I don't drink Pellegrino. I have one of those machines. So it's just water and then you push the thing.
That's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever it takes but the Pellegrino does have the minerals,
so it's better.
Like Gerald Steiner.
Okay.
Well, it's, you're getting that minerals in there. You could try putting a little bit of like electrolytes or trace minerals in your, whatever that soda stream thing is.
Yeah, it's a soda stream. And lemon. Yeah. I could put a skosh of lemon. I love the word skosh. Okay. So let's go backwards a little bit, because I just basically met you. My audience is meeting you. And I'm like, tell me about water and how to hydrate. I want to know about you.
It is my favorite subject, by the way.
Okay, but we want to know about you, Dr. Cohen. So I kind of want to know why. I mean, you're obviously, you know what you're talking about. You have a very successful practice in New York City. But I want to know why you got into this field to begin with and why you decided to get into writing these books. So let's hear about you before we just go, hey, tell me about water.
Okay. All right. So I am cut to 1998. I am graduating my residency in internal medicine at Albany Medical Center, and probably $200,000 in debt. And miserable, hating medicine, can't turn back, and I have to work. I can't do another residency for a couple of years. I really need to start working. I'm feeling overwhelmed. And I saw an ad on the wall that said world-renowned wellness center is looking for a doctor, an internist, in New York City. And I was like, ooh, it sounds like a spa. And I was like, that sounds really cool. Let me just see what this is. And I remember taking it off the wall so nobody else would take it. And I called it, and it was for Dr. Atkins. So it was for the Atkins, the Atkins diet guy, Bob Atkins. He had a big center in New York. Ironically, I was on the Atkins diet at the time. I felt amazing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go pursue this. I'm going to see what it is. I met with him. I got the job. He hired me, and he changed my life. So I've been practicing this way, integrative medicine, since then. Never really practiced internal medicine the way that, most people, like primary care. It's always been integrative. It used to be called complementary medicine back then. Mm-hmm. Now functional medicine is the term du jour. And, he changed my life. And I say this all the time. When I worked for him, I saw miracles on a daily basis, meaning you change somebody's diet, and you change their life. They would come in and jumping with joy and moving in their body and feeling so much better by just changing their diet or changing their lifestyle. And I have learned, there's a lot I've learned since then too, which we'll talk about Fuel Up, because it's not all the Atkins diet, because I'll tell you what I have learned. Mm-hmm. But the fastest way to getting healthy is diet, period. It's not medicine. It's not medication. It's not even exercise. Mm-hmm. The fastest way to healing yourself is learning how to eat better.
Well, they say that, because I'm going to be honest, and my audience knows this, I've struggled with like my body image, and I recovered from an eating disorder in my teens and 20s. And I've always been on diets, like on and off my whole life, and gone to Soul Cycle. Like, I was doing doubles at one point a few years ago. If you know Soul Cycle, yeah. I was doing Barry's boot camp. I just could not. And then perimenopause, all of that kind of stuff, I'm sure you talk about as well, all comes into the picture. And you're like, wait a second, why am I not losing weight? Like, what am I doing wrong? And then my issue is consistency. And to be honest, laziness, like not lazy, like I walk 4 miles a day, I work out. It's the laziness of being like, it's so much easier to just like call in Goop delivery and not make it myself and just be lazy or pick off my kids' plates or whatever it is and just like throw in the towel. So that I don't know if you can talk about that or relate to that, but I think there's so many moms or women in like perimenopause that are kind of feeling the same way of like, oh, well, like I guess this, and then add in alcohol, which everyone knows is not good for you. But I'm going to be honest, I've taken breaks from alcohol. I've in the past few days been hitting it hard. I'm not gonna lie. The wine, you know what I'm saying? So can you kind of, that was a long-winded question, but can you comment on that?
So yes, perfect segue, because what I have learned in my 27 years, and working for Dr. Atkins, knowing and implementing every single nutrition plan, low FODMAPs diet, a keto diet, a carnivore diet, a vegan diet. Mm-hmm. What I have learned is that it is extraordinarily rare that those work long-term for anyone. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe that, and myself included, have created eating disorders in people. We put people on, like, they work short-term. They're great short term. And there are, like I mentioned, a low FODMAPs diet or even an Atkins diet. There are people who are overt diabetics whose blood sugar is in the 400s. Like, we need to stop that. And, so there's no quicker way than putting somebody on a very low carb diet to do that. But the problem is then long term, nobody can stay on it. And then what happens when they go off of it? It's like, I'm going to go crazy. I don't even know how to eat because, yeah, I'm going to go crazy. I know that eating ice cream is bad for me, but I also think that eating grains is bad for me, or eating fruit is bad for me, because that's all I know that has ever worked for me is a low carb diet. So we're creating these things, and I think we've all forgotten how to eat. I think we've all forgotten how to eat healthily, and also not giving our bodies what it needs to do its job. Our bodies are amazing machines. And when you start to feed it what it needs and the nutrition it needs, it will do its job. It will do its work. It will stop those cravings. I mean, I do think that there is a vicious cycle of how people eat. I don't think, the plan in Fuel Up is very broad. So I'm speaking to a very broad audience. I want to just clarify, though, if there are people with real medical issues like overt diabetes, or even, insulin resistance, or even low blood sugar, hypoglycemia, I highly recommend you see an integrative or functional medicine doctor, because these are the doctors that really understand, how to do these things and how to work with these things. But we now know with the GLP-1s and all these new drugs, and we can do some of those things naturally, by the way. Food, there are GLP-1 foods that help turn it on and off, those chemicals in our hormones in our system.
I would love to actually touch on that, because I'm very honest with my audience. I've been on and off the GLPs. So one issue is I'm seeing like all these moms, and they're like, oh, I'm just like, I got like lipo and I'm on a diet. And I'm like, you are not, like, you're in your 40s, like, get over it. You're on the shots. But my question is, and I think I know the answer to this, because I've been on and off them. They do work. You go off of them, the weight just creeps back up. And then you're just like, okay, now what do I do? So can you touch on that? Because I think that's a huge thing that people would love to know about.
So I'm going to start by saying I think those drugs are miracles.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen anything like it in my career. They are miracle drugs. However, they are just a tool, right? And I think that I don't, the drug company would be the first to say, like, no, you got to stay on it for the rest of your life, period. That's all there is. We don't know that. We don't know that at all. And I don't think that we're giving people enough of a chance to slowly wean down on it while we're slowly, doing all the right things. Once again, learning how to eat for your body and nourishing your body, giving it what it needs, the overarching thing that I see, and what I really do think is like the big demon, are ultra processed foods. So I think if we can really learn to minimize them as much as possible, it's going to make all the difference in the world. And you can tell me I'm wrong, because I've been there too. You can tell me I'm wrong, but I don't, when you go off of those, or whoever it may be, goes off of those medications and regains the weight, there's a reason why that happens, right? So we're not living a really healthy lifestyle now. But I don't want that a healthy lifestyle is healthy everywhere. It's healthy in your mind. It's healthy in your image. I don't think they're all meant to be a size 6 even, we're not meant to be that way. So like the body image stuff has got to go. And I so love all these people now who are really pushing, like, and that's what we've, you and I have grown up with that.
Yeah.
That whole body image thing, it's just got to go. We're not meant to be. I think any teeny step in the right direction towards health, not towards ultimate body weight or whatever you think your ultimate body weight is, towards health, a healthier cell, a healthier outlook, a healthier brain. I have found that when you're eating well, you're getting rid of the ultra processed foods, all that changes. Your mind really does change. You become happier and more joyous by eating this way. Getting rid of those ultra processed foods.
Can you touch on, so 2 things about what you said. Yeah, like I've been on and off these drugs. For some reason, some people can lose weight on them and they're like, drop all this weight. I have maintained I gained a ton of weight in COVID, like so many people. And then I was having hormonal issues. So I put on, but I also joke all the time that I carry the German factory, like worker body, like it's a joke, but like, like I worked on the line, like we're just not teeny people in my family. So
Right.
And so that's part of why I've always battled this. By no means am I like really heavy, but I'm just like, I'm not a small person. So I feel like what you just said, like I've constantly battled that in my life. I have maintained a weight, but I'll go up and down like maybe 3 pounds on these GLPs. So I do think they're effective. But what you said about the ultra processed foods, we have a huge issue in our country about the fact that, it's all over the news that Fruit Loops are being made differently in the US and manufactured differently to us and then shipped off to like Canada and other countries. Can you kind of touch on that? Is this just like, it's a money making machine, right? It's like they want us to be heavy. I would love your answer on that.
Yeah. So I'm not, I don't know like the real, these are, I do think that there is sinister things that happen with ultra processed foods. They add things to make it tastier, to make it more, addictive, and to keep it on the shelves longer. That's why you look at an ingredient, and it's so long of chemicals and things that you've never heard of. Right. So yeah, those are the reasons that they're made. And this is, I pray that the one good thing or one of some good things that hopefully will come out of this new leadership is that that they do fight big agriculture and big pharma, because there's something that needs to be done about that. They make it cheaper and more accessible to people who can't afford real food. We have to figure out a way for people to get real food back into our diets. So I'm praying that that's going to be something really good for our country and our people. We'll see. We're not going to talk politics.
Well, no, 100%. But my question is like, so from that aside, like, I'll give you an example. I shop at Whole Foods a lot, right? I buy these because I don't eat meat. And that's also because I'm an animal lover. That's one of my biggest things, but also cholesterol, all the other stuff runs in my family. So I stopped eating meat probably like 5 years ago. So I try to find it in like beans and like other ways, but I do buy those frozen burritos. They're like vegan and they have like zero cholesterol. Is that a bad choice? Like, I'm just trying to ask overall, like, do you think that they're safe choices? Like if you're going into the freezer or you're shopping in like a Whole Foods or a Lazy Acres or a Bristol Farms?
I have to look at the ingredients. I know which one you're talking about. Okay. I don't think I've ever looked at it though. So I would have to look at it.
Okay.
But first of all, let me just stop you by saying there's no bad choices.
Okay.
There really isn't. I think every step where you can up level your nutrition by getting real food, whole foods into your diet, we want to do that. I'm going to give you a really clean example of that.
Okay.
There is a steak sauce that I love. And the only reason I love it is it has horseradish in it, right? So, I love this steak sauce, whether, you can put it on anything. It's just delicious. And I looked at the label one day before I wrote the book and I don't know why I never looked at the label. I think I didn't want to know. Mm-hmm. And, the first 4 ingredients were 4 different types of sugar, including high fructose corn syrup, and then a ton of other ingredients. And I said to myself, the only reason I like this is horseradish, right? So I basically bought a clean organic ketchup that I actually don't really like the taste of, like some of those, ones that you can get at Thrive Market or something. Mm-hmm. Like they're not, there's very little ingredients in them. I don't love the taste. And I added horseradish to it and I was like, oh my God, that's all I wanted, so that's like a little cheat, just a little up level, every step of the way, trying to get rid of those and then I actually included a proper recipe for, a homemade steak sauce that's easy, do it in your blender and it keeps for a couple weeks in your, so think about that. So that burrito, if you're going to have it once in a while, it sounds like it could, if it's the one I think it is, it's probably a better choice than going to Taco Bell, I guess.
No, or like
Starbucks
or like, there's so many like fast things.
Yeah. The idea though, just keep this in mind. People who cook for themselves are genuinely healthier than people who don't. Most of the time. We do have to live in this world though. So we talk about food prep. We talk about having things in the house. We talk about, where you can, trying to save time. This book is really meant for moms, but also teaching your kids. And so, the overall picture is using your blender, right?
Yeah.
That's how to cheat your way to good health. Now, you cannot have drink every meal with a smoothie, right? That's not what we're talking about, but we give desserts, we give condiments, we give soups, but we also give recipes. I know you don't eat meat, but we do give a recipe for how to cook a cauliflower steak, how to roast a chicken. We've lost the art of cooking. So just a little nudge in like, you know what? We need to cook a little bit more at home where we can. And then up level wherever we can as well to try to get rid of those ultra processed foods.
Okay.
Minimize.
Yeah. So my question is, because you do talk about the NutriBullet. We have a NutriBullet. My kids every morning make, we make like a strawberry banana smoothie, with a little bit of orange juice in it. And thank God they drink that. Like, so I know they're getting their fruit, but I'm trying to figure out a way to sneak in a vegetable. So
just throw it in. They'll never know. It's going to be a different color, but they won't taste it. Throw some spinach in there. They won't taste it. Throw some kale in there. There's no way they can taste it. And, that's a cheat. I think about that. The person who sort of, spearheaded that was Jessica Simpson. Not Jessica Simpson, Jessica Seinfeld.
Okay.
Jessica
I've read her book actually. She has multiple.
So she talks about how to cheat cheat with your kids.
Yeah.
Throw some things in there. They won't notice it, but that's a great way to get some extra fiber and get some vegetables in there, and maybe lessen the sugar load a little bit. I would, that's. You have to play around with it, and I would get your kids involved too. Have them help you make it. Like let's be chefs here and let's play around.
Have you met my 14-year-old? No, that's not happening.
Wait, let me just tell you. So my best friend has a 14-year-old.
Okay, girl.
A girl.
Okay.
So exactly what you said. I don't have children, but I so can relate to what you're going through because I'm her ear. I speak to her every single day, my best friend. But I want to just also say one thing. Sorry about just because if I don't get it in, he's going to, the NutriBullet. My co-author is Colin Sapphire. So he invented the NutriBullet. But he sold that company and now he has, called the Beast Blender, which is a gorgeous blender that should be on every counter. It's beautiful. And so he was one who sort of spearheaded the whole personal blender where you blend and then take it off and use the same vessel and drink from it or be on the run with it. So, but the Beast Blender is beautiful.
Okay. We'll have to look into the Beast Blender, but give me some, so give me some other ideas. Like I'm going to bring my 14-year-old in this again. She runs track. She does not eat all day. Like I can't get her to eat. It's hard for me to even get her to eat and take that smoothie in the morning. So my younger one, I have a 10-year-old daughter. She'll do it, but and then she goes and runs track. She's dehydrated. All she wants after practice is for me to take her to Lazy Acres, which is like a high-end grocery store here, and get a giant chocolate chip cookie. And then she does drink a giant smoothie with like strawberries and bananas and stuff after her practice. But I struggle as a parent with her not eating enough. She kind of pokes at food at dinner. Can you kind of touch on that for my listeners that might be dealing with this too?
Yeah. I mean, once again, I don't have firsthand experience, but I will say to you this I know to be true. What you teach your kids now, they may not apply right now, but I promise you that it will come back to them when they are in college and when they are ready to be on their own. So I think you just need to keep teaching, keep saying, what you need. The hydration part, though, I think is imperative. I honestly believe that, there is, I'm not going to remember the number, but there is 3 times the amount of concussions today that there was however many 25, 30 years ago. And I think because we're living in more dehydrated environments, but the issue is that nobody talks about hydration as a preventative for concussions, and especially if she's an athlete, So, the hydration is, you have to stay on top of her. It's just, you have to be a pest. I don't know any other way to say it. There's no getting around that. As far as the foods and the calories, you have to keep teaching them, keep pushing them, finding what they like, having them get involved in the kitchen, and I think the blender is going to be a really fun thing to do. Does she eat meat at all, or she
everyone in the
either?
family eats meat except me. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a couple fun things in the some unexpected uses of the blender, like chicken salad and stuff like that. The blender is just the easiest tool to do. I would say I would maybe try to get her in charge of cooking dinner once a week or something. I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to give you some ideas. Once again, it's so not my area because I'm not a mom.
No, but it's like any tip that I'm sure there's so many people listening that can relate to this. And then on top of that, having, kids that poke at food or don't want to eat. So I love the idea of the blender because it does make it easy and it makes it quick.
Yeah.
A lot of times we're running around from practice to like ballet to, one does ballet, one does track. So I love that idea. What are some good, like quick recipes that you can kind of talk about so I can get people to really want to go out and get this book? Cause I'm going to start using it this evening actually, because I just got it.
I love it. Yeah. So we go from the other thing in the book, we go from sort of very simple recipes to people who are not used to eating so many greens. So like you start at the beginning. So fruit forward recipes, lots, berries, whatever you like in there, that kind of thing. So smoothies are the easiest thing in the world to do. We do have over 100 different recipes, more for the condiments, the desserts. You can even make flatbreads and crisps and hummus and all these gorgeous things from it. Just going back to your daughter, though, I think even looking at fun ingredients, like I would maybe go to Whole Foods and find some interesting powdered ingredients like cacao, and pairing that with some real bananas or something, a little more sugary fruits, and having her play with it. Like she'll feel like a chef. I have to be honest, there's times where I do that myself. There's times I fail where I then hold my nose and suck it down. And I would make a rule, like I don't know. I don't live in your household or anything.
Oh, you don't want to right now, but go on.
No.
I'm just joking.
Every smoothie has to have a little bit of greens in it.
Okay.
And say to her, like, listen, you're not going to taste it, but there are, our bodies need this.
Yeah.
Let's experiment, and I would pull up this book. There's thousands of recipes online too. The book goes into the science of how it also goes into, meeting people where they are, so you want to go back to the learning how to eat again, like no judging yourself either. If you choose to have that burrito, that frozen burrito, so be it. But what you could do is you could then make like a nice dipping sauce or salsa to put on top of that burrito that uses some vegetables and fruits to get those things in.
Got it.
It just gives you those sort of, yeah.
And for the listeners right now, if you hear that buzzing, that's we're going to be in closing now. But it's because there's some work being done. So hopefully you don't hear it too much, but I just wanted to say that it's not anything to be alarmed about.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We were talking before. Sometimes I can hear things and my listeners can't hear it. So I just wanted to point that out. So kind of in closing, like what is like one key takeaway from this book that you think people need to know?
Okay. Number one, stop beating yourself up.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Start from where you are. The weight, there are other measures of health. Look at those other measures of health. Things like even a waist to hip ratio is a better measure of rather than weight, right? And then think about symptoms and that kind of thing. Always start with hydration. Great way to get hydration is to start with one green smoothie a day. That's one breakfast smoothie a day or a snack smoothie a day. And then the overarching thing is start to limit your ultra processed foods. I'm so sorry about this sound.
No, that's okay. I'm going to try and get Celeste to edit it out. But, one thing I was going to ask you is, I love that you brought that up because I did have a lady come on, Maria Pendolano. I'm probably butchering her last name, and I'm sorry, Maria, if you're listening. But she talks about the BMI counter and how it's unfair because people for so long have measured themselves and by that. So I think that's an important point for people to understand. Like, we all come in different shapes and sizes if you're listening, and you could be a totally healthy person that they're telling you your BMI is too high. Do you agree about that?
100%. The BMI is BS.
And it was invented by, she told me some story about how it was invented by men, of course. Like, you might know better than me, but I just thought,
I have no idea.
Okay. I just thought it was an interesting point that you brought up. So you're saying be healthy.
A better measurement.
Go ahead.
Yeah. You want to, so think about how are you moving in your body? Are you moving freely? Are you thinking clearly? And then always just go back to basics: sleeping, hydrating, real food, eating real whole food, and moving. Those are the really big things that we sort of poo-poo. And honestly, nobody really does it. I mean, that's not true. Not nobody. But people get in such their heads about the numbers and the weight loss and then the diets and that kind of thing. Now, that's not to say that somebody's going to come in to see me that I'm not going to put them on maybe an elimination diet, looking at certain foods which you may be sensitive to. But the thing that I found is that more often than not is that the treatment, so going back to like a low FODMAPs diet or a very restrictive diet, gluten-free, dairy-free, and soy-free, egg-free, all of those things, then they work great in the beginning. And then in the long term, they actually become the detriment because people can't reintroduce foods because their guts can't take them. So the truth is you can. It takes a long time. You have to do it methodically. You have to do it slowly. So if I'm going to ask you to start now blending a lot of greens. Look at your puppy in the background.
I know. I have two.
If I'm going to ask you to start blending a lot of greens, like there may be some side effects. You might get some bad gas and bloating and maybe even diarrhea. So we give ways on how to mitigate that a little bit if you can, and just go very slowly. So I think the big thing is start anywhere. Start by always thinking, how can I up level this by making this real food, whole food as Mother Nature intended, and go from there. It really can be life-changing, and also learning how to hydrate. One quick thing I want to say about hydration, which I didn't mention earlier. The best way you can know if you're optimally hydrated is to look at your urine output. And we are meant to urinate every 2 or 3 hours while we're awake.
Okay.
Right. So if you're not getting up to pee every 2 or 3 hours, you're not hydrating enough. So that's all you need to know about that. So maybe do a little hashtag. I've been sitting at my desk for 8 hours today and I only peed once. You're not hydrating enough. So do better tomorrow and stay on top of that. I think that's really important. Always start there.
How many cups of my sparkling water should I be drinking a day?
So the tagline to my first book, Quench, is 8 glasses a day is not the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's not about drinking more water. It's about eating your water, It's about knowing what your set point is. So I have, and it's super independent. It's very personalized. I have people who all they need is that one glass of water in the morning, but they're eating such hydrating foods. They're drinking green smoothies. They're drinking teas, herbal teas, that kind of thing. So it really is very individual. Look at your urine output, and then you'll know how much. You could do it with water, or you could do it with food.
I'm going to use my blender because you've motivated me. I have some spinach in my refrigerator, and I'm going to look up a recipe when we conclude. The book is called Fuel Up. Where can everybody find you?
drdanacohen.com.
Okay, that makes it super easy. Are you on Instagram?
I am at drdanacohen.
Okay, I'm going to follow you too. It was so nice to meet you today.
So nice to meet you.
For my listeners out there, keep going. You matter. Your story matters. Thank you so much, Dr. Cohen.
Judging Meghan with Meghan Judge.